Mercedes had their sights set on the W15 as their golden ticket back to championship contention in 2024. Yet despite the team's high hopes, early signs suggest the car hasn't quite matched up to the pace setters in the Red Bull and Ferrari. It's not that the W15 is trailing behind, it's holding its own against rivals like McLaren and Aston Martin, but the car's issues so far have got Toto Wolff and star driver Lewis Hamilton asking some questions. Toto Wolff, at the helm of Mercedes, shed some light on the issue during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He pinpointed a fundamental challenge with the W15, particularly its handling in high-speed corners, which seems to be a puzzle the team has yet to solve. "We had so many unknowns in the last year," he said. "Where we started, we said, okay, this could be a reason, and this could be a reason, and this could be a reason. And we fixed that. I can see from the sensors that we have what we needed, but there is still this behavior of the car in a certain speed range, where our sensors and simulation say, this is where we should have the downforce, and we are not having it. This team has not been overconfident. We are probably the other way around. We see that glass half empty always, and that attitude stays, but this is also the attitude to fix it." Wolff added, "It is a different confidence that I have in the group this time around. At a certain stage, you're basically ticking all the boxes of the unknown, and where we are today, it's pretty clear where it points to. It's just my feeling that we will come on top." Is this good enough to beat a Max Verstappen in a Red Bull? No, it's not. But at least bringing ourselves into a position of fighting for podiums and being right there, I'm 100% sure we are going to get there. Despite the hurdles, Wolff is holding on to a measured confidence, fueled by the team's systematic approach to troubleshooting. "I've changed my mindset," Wolff explained. "I don't think that additional pressure on all of us makes it better. I think we have a problem with the physics. It is not by lack of trying or by the mindset or the motivation or energies. All of that is there, and I can see the buzz in the organization. As racers, when we have such disappointing results, you're feeling down, but we're trying to change that with the right motivation for the week that comes. That's why we are believing that we can turn this around. We believe that our organization can dig ourselves out. I'm 100% sure we can." Mercedes faced a challenging weekend at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, with their performance falling short of expectations. The W15 struggled, especially through the fast corners in the first sector, an issue that persisted irrespective of the changes in the rear wing configuration. During qualifying, the car lagged in speed between turns 6 to 10, a critical section of high-speed sweeps that are not quite flat out, marking it as the slowest of all in that part of the track. Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, couldn't mask his disappointment after securing only a 9th-place finish in Jeddah. He openly talked about the team's pressing need for some big changes to the W15. It was similar to previous years. There are so many elements of this car which are better, but we are being hindered by the bouncing we have. We made some changes overnight, and this morning the car felt so much better. I was regaining this confidence again then. When we got to qualifying, it disappeared again. We've tried every setup change and we can't get rid of it. It's difficult to explain it. We had some bouncing in Bahrain, but nowhere near as intense as here," added the sport's most successful driver of all time. "We've got to fix it. It's like 3 years in a row. We've got to get on top of it. We're still trying to understand this car because we saw it in FP2. In Bahrain, we were P1 and P2, was P3 and P4 yesterday in practice, and the pace was looking good. There is potential there, but we're still trying to wrap our heads around it and learn about it," Hamilton added. In his column for F1.com, Mark Hughes wrote a detailed analysis of why Mercedes can't seem to get out of their 3-year-long rut since the introduction of the new regulations. For its early days, after just 2 races, to conclude too much. But it does seem as if Mercedes' difficulties with the Venturi floor regulations in place since 2022 might be continuing, Hughes said. The W15 has been designed to run super low in the belief that the bouncing could now be better controlled than with the W13 through the combination of underfloor and suspension design. The W15's performance in Jeddah was therefore quite worrying. The bouncing problem was back and was being triggered, especially through the high-speed kinks of turns 6-10, as the car sank low on its suspension. Mercedes arrived here with a low downforce rear wing from a different family to the higher downforce wing used in Bahrain. Explaining Hamilton and Russell's differing approaches to their setup, Hughes talked about Mercedes' struggles in high-speed corners and the rear wing changes they made during quali. In Jeddah Free Practice 3, Hamilton tried raising the ride height in an attempt at getting out of the bouncing window. To counteract the reduction in underbody downforce this will have had on other parts of the track, he also ran the rear wing in a higher downforce setting. Russell stayed with the lower downforce wing, he wrote. Hamilton's experiment didn't work. Both cars remained slow through the high-speed turns. There was virtually no difference in speed through that section, regardless of wing level. Around the rest of the track, Russell, with his smaller wing, was slower in the slow corners, and at turn 27 onto the main straight, Hamilton was doing 111 km/h, Russell only 105. But Russell's low wing was allowing him to claw that back, and both were doing 305 over the start-finish, while Russell was faster by the end of the straight. Hamilton's high wing was only buying him time in the slow corners, not the fast ones, because of the bouncing and the higher ride height. Hence, he went back to the lower wing for qualifying and the race. At the end of his extensive analysis, Hughes concluded, around Jeddah, Mercedes, last weekend, found themselves still trapped in the vicious circle of downforce and bouncing they've been wrestling with since 2022. The season is now all set to resume this weekend with the preparations for the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne in full swing. Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Shovlin is hopeful that having more time to prepare could enable Mercedes to find some fixes. There's definitely data that we're picking through from Jeddah, he added. We're also looking at data from Bahrain race, Bahrain test, and we will come up with a plan for how we approach free practice in Melbourne. But it's not just based on what we did in Jeddah. There's a lot of work going on within aerodynamics department, vehicle dynamics department. We're trying to design some experiments there that will hopefully give us a direction that's good for performance. Concerningly for Mercedes, Melbourne's Albert Park circuit has some similarities to Jeddah, where their weaknesses were most apparent. The balance wasn't great, Shovlin added, so those very fast corners, the walls aren't particularly far away. So the ones where the driver wants a lot of confidence, and quite often we were snapping to oversteer, if they really lent on the tyres. And you can easily imagine how unsettling that is for the drivers. Now that was a factor in a qualifying and the race. In qualifying, we were also suffering a bit with the bouncing. Now that was less of a problem in the race. There's more fuel on the car, you're going a bit slower. And that seemed to calm down and wasn't such an issue. And then the big one is we don't really have enough grip there. So that's one of the things that we are working hard on this week, because Melbourne has similar nature of corners. So we're doing a lot of work to try and understand why did we not seem to have the grip of some of our close competitors. So what do you guys think about Mercedes' chances for future races? Do you think they'll be able to figure a way out of their current issues in the upcoming races? Or will this be another season where the team has to settle for a place in the midfield? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest Formula One news.